Hi there, so we're going to do something a little bit different in this video. I've got an exhibition on in the gallery, which is in the town where I live. So what I thought I'd do is I would take the camera, take you around the exhibition, show you some of the work that's hanging there and talk you through it a little bit. I know on this channel I tend to do quite a lot of the work in my sketchbook, so maybe I go out sketching and then I bring it back to the studio and work in my sketchbooks, do all that kind of cropping and tearing up, do quite a lot of that sort of work. So it'd be quite nice to actually show you where some of the ideas end up. So I hope you enjoy that. I'm going to just grab the camera, we're going to go and have a look at the exhibition, and I'll just talk you through some of the paintings that are there. Okay, hope you enjoy it. What I thought I'd do is just take you through the exhibition and just have a look at some of the paintings that are here, the reasons I did them, why I chose these particular paintings for this exhibition, and just some of the ideas that I had while I was doing them. Just thought you might find it interesting to see the exhibition actually hanging on the wall. I know on this channel I do quite a lot of work where I'm in my studio and I'm doing kind of preparation work or sketches and things like that. So I just thought it'd be quite nice to actually see some of the work when it's finished and in the environment that it's kind of intended for. So this first painting is quite a large one. It's about 4 feet square, 120 centimeters on canvas, and lots of different kind of textures, as you can see, all sorts of different stuff happening on the surface. I like to build up the surface of the painting. I find that very exciting. So I think a lot of the time my paintings are sort of this amalgam of the idea that I had while I was there, trying to represent the feeling and the atmosphere, the experience of being outside in the landscape. But at the same time, there's also this desire to really have a exciting, energetic, lively paint surface. So there's that abstract element to it, but there's also the representational element to it. And I think that a lot of the time my painting sits in that place between those two extremes of representation and abstraction. You know, I like both those things. I like to be able to express what it looks like, what it feels like to be in a particular place when I'm there. But at the same time, I do find the paint surface extremely exciting. These smaller ones were done alongside because you may or may not know, when I'm doing my studio work, I like to have several paintings on the go at a time. I don't just do one painting, work through it, finish it, and then do the next one, work through that and finish that one. I like to have a group of paintings on the go so that I can work through different ideas along the same theme. So that's what I do. That's what these ones are. These little paintings are part of the same group of paintings, the same series of paintings from California, but I'm working through different ideas, and I had these on the go at the same time as the large paintings. So I think I probably had maybe 10 or 12 of these little paintings on the go and about 8 big paintings on the go, and they were kind of all happening at the same time, so that I could experiment and try out different things on each painting. So each painting has less preciousness. I don't have to get everything into the one painting. I can try different aspects of the ideas, try out different ideas on these different surfaces and different scales as well. They makes a difference. The scale of the painting that you're working on can make quite a big difference to how you approach it. You know, the small ones are quite intimate, whereas the larger paintings can be more kind of human scale. The kind of marks that you make are kind of human scale marks because they're bigger. You can make those bold, expressive marks. So I like working on both those things, like, you know, the small paintings and the larger ones. And then this painting here, it's about 1 meter square, and this is one that I did in response to some sketching that was quite local to me. There's a lot of really beautiful rivers, dales, really nice landscape near where I live. Quite lucky. So I do like to be able to go out and sketch and paint outside locally. And all this work is done in the way that you've seen me working on the channel before, where I go out and do the sketching outside in the landscape, and then I come back and I work in my sketchbook to find ideas and visual ways of expressing the experience of what was there. So in this painting I was really trying to get the sense of the light reflecting on the river. So it's like a riverbank, and you know, all the kind of the bright colours of the riverbank, but also the sky reflecting in the river, and the sense of that, you know, that light, that reflected light happening. And that's, you know, I think that's enough for a painting. I think as an idea for a painting, I think that's probably enough. I think you need to overcomplicate it too much. I think a lot of the time it's better to keep the ideas simple. I always say it's best to have one single simple idea for a painting, and you can always return to that, because the paintings like this, they take quite a long time to do. They're built up over, you know, days, weeks, months sometimes, and you can lose sight of what you were trying to achieve. So I think if you've got a very complicated set of ideas that you're trying to cram too much into a painting, it kind of overwhelms it. And I don't think they need that. I don't think they need to be overwhelmed. I don't think they need to be overcomplicated. I think it's enough to have a simple, straightforward idea, like in this painting, the idea of the light reflecting on the river, on a sunny riverbank. And I think that's enough. And if the painting does get lost, if it does get confused and a little bit, you know, loses its way through the course of doing the painting, I can always return to that simple idea, come back to it, come back to that very you know, basic notion, and then I can reinvigorate the painting, push it back towards the direction that it initially started in. You may know that I like to do ceramic work as well. So these pieces are, there's a few in the window of this exhibition, there's a couple of bigger pieces in the gallery, and I really enjoy doing these. I think there's something really refreshing about working in a different media, you know, working in different media when you're, you know, working predominantly in one media and then just trying something different. I think it's very refreshing, very useful actually, and that's one of the reasons I do it, not just for the sake of the pieces themselves, which I, you know, really enjoy doing, but also to sort of cross-pollinate, I suppose. It's not a representation of something, and I've said this, you know, before, that I think one of the nice things about working on working with ceramics, working in this kind of 3D media, is that you're not expecting it to look like something. In the exhibition, there are also some of the smaller paintings that I do, the works that begin in my sketchbook. Like I was saying just now, you know, I like to go out and paint outside, and I bring those back and I do the collage work, and sometimes those pieces will find themselves being taken out of my sketchbooks and put in a frame, because I think they're interesting enough, you know, interesting enough to be seen as works in their own right. Because I really like to do these kinds of paintings in my sketchbook first. Sometimes, if I think that they're interesting enough, they'll find their way into an exhibition. But I think one of the important things about working in a sketchbook is it has this very creative, almost casual atmosphere about working in sketchbooks. And so I always do these pieces in my sketchbook first, even if I'm thinking I may take them out and frame them and exhibit them. I still do them in the sketchbook first because it helps me approach them in a slightly more creative way. And here's a few more of the smaller pieces that I did for the California exhibition. Yeah, I mean, I really like working on these little gesso panels. There, actually, this one here, this little one is actually one of the rivers. It's part of the river series that I did, but it's on the same surface. They're these little gesso panels, little wooden panels. It's a lovely thing to work on. I think when I'm working small, I really enjoy working on these hard surfaces. Obviously I like working on paper, but if I'm doing paintings like this, I'd rather work on a hard surface than on canvas. I just find it more enjoyable to work with. I like building up the layers, putting paint down, being able to kind of attack them and scrape and scratch into them. I did really nice working on these little boards for that, and I prefer, particularly when I'm working on this smaller scale, I prefer to work on these boards rather than canvas. You go backwards and forwards with different things. I've done a lot of small paintings on canvas, but the last few years I've kind of more or less exclusively been working on the smaller paintings on boards. But when I move to the larger paintings, although I do some large paintings on board, I tend to work on canvas, and it's just purely a personal preference. It's not anything to do with the weight of the canvas compared to a weight of a large board. It doesn't have anything to do with that really. It's just that when I'm working on a larger scale, I prefer working on canvas, and it's as simple as that. And I try not to think about it too much. You just kind of get on with it, just work on the things that you enjoy working on the most. I think I don't think anything less of paintings on board than on canvas. I don't think anything less of paintings on paper than on board or canvas. I think it's all as interesting. It's the work that's the interesting thing, not the surface that it's on. You work on the things and work with the things that give you the results that you find the most pleasing. So I think that, when you're an artist, you have to try and produce the kind of work that you want to see yourself, the kind of work that if you went into a gallery or you went into someone's home and there's a painting hanging on the wall, you might think, hey, that's a nice painting. I really like that painting. And that's what I'm trying to produce. I'm trying to produce the kinds of paintings that I want to see. And I think that's a really important thought for artists to consider, is that you can't possibly please everybody. It's just not possible to please everyone. I'm completely aware that the paintings that I do are not for everybody. But if I tried to make paintings that I thought everyone would like, it would not be successful, because it's not possible to please everyone. I'm producing paintings which they have elements of representation in them, they have elements of abstraction in them, and that just isn't for everybody. But by the same token, other people produce paintings which are purely representational, and that's not for everybody either. So it doesn't matter what you do, you can't make everyone happy. So I think it's just not worth trying to make everybody happy. So you have to do the kind of work that you want to do. You've got to do the work that you find interesting, because that's all you can do. So we're more or less back round to the beginning of the exhibition now. There's a few pieces here which are sitting on easels in the show. This one was actually one I did for my abstracted landscape workshop. It was actually the piece that I produced during that workshop. But I always liked it. I always thought it had come out really, really well. So that's really nice to see it being exhibited in the gallery. Again, there's lots of really kind of interesting surface being built up. If you were on that workshop, if you happen to see me making this painting, you'll know that it went through lots of wild stages of different things happening on the surface, scratching and scraping and drawing and printing. Those leaf shapes are printed on. I made this little leaf, little print block. printed those on and worked over them and then printed them back again. And so, you know, there was a lot of layers going on in there. So I always really liked that painting, so it was nice to see it exhibited in the gallery. So there we go, that's round to the beginning of the exhibition again. I hope you enjoyed watching that, and yeah, it's nice to do something a little bit different, to show you some of the finished work that I do, the work that ends up being exhibited. So I hope you enjoyed following me around the exhibition. Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching that. Don't forget, my workshops are coming up for next year. There's the online workshop. There's a very limited amount of live workshops. So if you do want to come and see me in person, then please do check out the link that's here on the screen. Okay, I'll see you soon.